Welcome, ladies. I'm glad to have you join us. It's always nice to have women riding bikes, and we're so excited that you're here joining us. My name is Cynthia Stewart. I am the custom fit studio manager with Bike Barn. I've been with the company, it'll be 15 years in June. I started in 2006. I've been riding bicycles since the mid 90s, so gosh, I don't even want to think about how many years I've been riding. My experience is with road bikes, mountain bikes, cyclocross. I used to race a little bit. I've ridden all over, Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Colorado, Nevada. So lots of different places and lots of different experiences. I'm more of a recreational rider now, though, riding around the neighborhood. So I can relate to almost any type of rider. I've not ridden a recumbent, but I've ridden almost every other type of, or BMX bike. I've not done that either, but I've done almost every other kind of bike. So welcome, ladies. I like to do a ladies fitness or fit issues because I think there are issues that pertain just to us. And when we do these all together, it also helps, when I do them live, it helps to give people, helps you to be more comfortable asking questions. I will be going through quite a lot of information, but if there's something I don't touch upon or something that I do touch upon and it raises further issues or questions with you, shoot me an email. I'll get back with you as soon as I can, Cynthia@bikebarn.com. But I hope to answer all of your questions. So why am I doing a women's specific fit issue? Because we're different. Women's specific products have been designed to help us to ride more comfortably. They can improve the way you ride, improve your experience. Years ago, back in the early 2000s, there were a lot of the companies making women's specific bicycles, bikes that were designed just for us. Some of them some companies did a great job. Others made the same frame that they made for the guys and just made it pink and shrinked it, or flowers, and you've seen those bikes. So I rode a women's specific bike back in the day. Can I say it was better? Not necessarily. Now there's been some studies and research done that have proven that women's bodies are not proportionately that much different than men. So many of the companies are going back to a unisex or a frame that will work, a shared frame that will work for men and women, but with differences. Handlebars, saddle, the stem. So differences that do help tailor that bike. And then some colors. Not all of us like a pink bike, but some colors that are maybe a little bit more feminine. But women's products, and just not just a bikes, it's a specific bike, but shorts, shoes, clothing, will help us to ride with less pain. They'll help us to be more comfortable. And when we're more comfortable, we're going to be more efficient, not as fatigued, and be able to generate more power. So anytime a bicycle is fit to you with products that are made for you, hopefully you're going to enjoy the ride a whole lot more. Only suffer from fatigue or a very hard workout. So the women's fit issues that we're going to talk about tonight are all those key touch points: the saddle, hands, neck, shoulders, and back, and our feet. And I would have to say women tend to have more issues or complain more about saddle issues. And I know that's a big issue. And those are things that we really don't want you to ride in pain. And sometimes I hate it when I see a woman who's signed up for a ride. She went and got a bicycle. She does that ride or whatever that she'd signed up for. And then she's like, I am done. I'm not getting back on that bike. That's not what we want. We want to create a lifetime of cycling for you. The saddle does not have to cause issues to where you dread getting on that bike. We want you to look forward to getting on the bike. So what are the common issues with the saddle? Chafing. Chafing is when there's friction. It could be your clothing rubbing against your skin. It could be if you're not wearing the proper attire that things are rubbing. That's why there's specific cycling shorts. Numbness. anytime there's numbness in that area, whether it's the female soft tissue area or numbness on the ischial tuberosities or your sit bones. That's not a comfortable feeling. Sore, just from not sitting in the right place and things being too much pressure and causing soreness, or if things progress to the point where you have saddle sores. And those can be prevented. Saddle sores can be in many different places on your undercarriage, and again, we don't want you to have to live with that. So before I go through some of the solutions for saddle issues, let's talk about one of the differences between men and women, aside from the obvious, but our pelvises are made differently, and our pelvises are made differently because we are designed for childbearing. So the female pelvis is larger. That doesn't mean that I can look at you and say, oh, you have wider sit bones. But our sit bone width is larger, and the ischial bones in men are narrower. And so you think about the sit bones being wider in women. What does that mean? If you try to get on a bike or saddle a bike seat that was designed for a male, it may not be wide enough to support your pelvis. So if your bony structure is not sitting on the seat, what is going to be supporting you? Your soft tissue or female organs, genital, that are not designed to bear weight. And if we try to bear weight on areas of our body that's not designed to bear weight, it's going to hurt. So think about saddle width. Now, I do have a device that we can measure the width of your ischial tuberosities. And I know sometimes women come in and they're like, oh, you're going to tell me how big my behind is? No, we're measuring the width of your sit bones. And I can't tell by looking. I've had women who come in that are skinny as a rail, but, big as my pinky, and they've got wider sit bones. Or I have someone like me, I'm a little bit larger boned, but I don't have super wide sit bones. So there's a gel device that I'll have you sit on that leaves 2 indentations, and then we measure the distance. Saddles come in all different widths. There's anything from a 130 millimeter wide seat up to probably I've got some commuter saddles that are over 200 millimeters wide. So that's a big difference. Millimeters can make a big difference if, in the comfort and supporting your pelvis. Some of the other issues that can cause saddle problems, if you've got the proper seat, you may have it at the wrong angle. So with a seat, it needs to be at the right angle. I know when you start researching or Googling how to install a saddle, a lot of times they'll tell you to put it level. Well, the design of seats today all the seats are not necessarily level. So if you level it, they're not flat. So if you level it, you're going to end up with the front nose of the saddle up in places that it's not going to be comfortable. So there's ways to install it. Leveling the front part or with a little flip up in the back. The correct height. If your seat's not at the right height to where you're not getting the proper leg extension, we tend to sit a little bit heavier or harder on the seat, and that can cause discomfort. If it's too low, if it's too high, and you think about it as you're trying to pedal, if the seat's too high, your hips are going to rock up and down as you try to get to the bottom of your pedal stroke. So if your hips are rocking up and down, something's going to be rubbing. If we want you to be solid on that seat and in a nice planted position. Suitable shorts for cycling. I don't know how many of you are doing longer distance rides, or if you're a recreational rider or a triathlete. Even if you're riding around the neighborhood for 45 minutes, you want to have the proper undergarments on that are going to give you the proper support. Those of you who are road cyclists or mountain biking or triathletes, a short that has a chamois on the inside is going to work nicely with the saddle and protect your undercarriage. And those newbies out there that maybe are just getting into the sport, plan to spend a little bit of money. That's the things next to your skin. I will preach to you to buy the best that you can afford. If you go out and buy the $30 bargain basement short, it's going to treat you like a bargain basement short. So those areas next to our stem, we want to invest a little bit of money, especially if you're doing longer distance rides. And then also know nothing comes between your chamois and your body. So no undergarments between the shorts and your body. You think about extra layers, and I know that some of us have a hard time grasping that, but extra layers and seams and stitching can cause chafing and rubbing, and undergarments just will prevent the shorts from working the way they were designed to work. And then the other thing is chamois cream. That can be a great complement to a good fit. I always say that chamois cream is not a fix for an improper fit. I've known people that go through a tube of the chamois cream a week trying to keep their saddle from causing sores. But if that's the case, something else is going on. So chamois cream, like I said, is a good complement. So a lot of you I know may have more questions about saddles. So don't hesitate if you've got questions on that to email me, cynthia@bikebarn.com. So moving on to the upper body, the next touch points, our hands on the handlebars, shoulders, back. Common issues that people will have in that area, pressure on your hands. I oftentimes hear people say, oh, I've got too much weight on my hands, which that can lead to your hands going numb. I go on rides and I see people riding along, and before they've gone too far, you see them taking their hands off the handlebar and shaking their hands out. Tingling, neck strain or pain, shoulder pain and strain, lower back pain. So the solutions for these are making sure that your handlebars, whether you're on a flat bar, aero bars, or a road bike with the road drop bars, making sure the handlebars are at the proper height for your flexibility, and the proper distance, which we call the reach. So the reach to the handlebars. If you're too stretched out, which that's another common complaint that I hear people say, that I feel too stretched out, there's things that can be done with the stem, which is what connects the handlebars to the bicycle, to make it shorter, make it a higher angle. The height, like I said, the height of the handlebar. Sometimes it can be too high and cause you issues, just as many issues as if it were too low. Another issue, and this is where women-specific products come in, is handlebar widths. Did you know they come in different sizes? I don't know if you can see the handlebars on the wall, but they come in a variety of different widths, usually 2 centimeter increments, anywhere from a 36 centimeter wide handlebar to a 46 centimeter wide, and everything in between. If you're riding a bike that maybe you borrowed from a friend, or it was your husband's bike or a boyfriend's bike, or bought used, and those handlebars are too wide, it's going to prevent you from putting your hands in a neutral position to where you won't have numbness. So, or it can cause a pain or burning in between your shoulder blades in the back. So handlebar width, and then the shape makes a big, big difference. The other thing is there's a lot of things that can be done with that handlebar, the rotation, and then the position of the shifters on the bar too, to make sure that you're in a neutral position. We don't want our shoulders being either scrunched up or rolled forward, or our hands in an awkward position. We want you to be in a very neutral position. When you're on your bike, you should have a soft elbow, no matter, now if you're on a tri-bike, it's a little different because you're supporting yourself in the aero bars, but on a flat bar bike or on a road bike, your elbows should be soft. We don't want the joints locked out, because anytime you lock out a joint, it's going to put pressure and can cause damage to that joint. And that then will radiate up into the neck and shoulders too. So soft elbow, I like to say if you're on a road bike, it's about similar to a handshake position. We don't shake hands with a stiff arm. Our wrist is in a neutral position and our shoulders are relaxed. So think about being in a nice neutral, relaxed position. And there's things that can be done to adjust the bars to make it in that position. Now, I know oftentimes if you're having issues with your hands, the first thing people do is go buy gloves. Sometimes the gloves can help, but sometimes they can hurt if they are not properly fitted to your hand. Or again, it's like the chamois cream. It's not going to be a patch for a bad fit. So if your fit isn't in a good position for you, the gloves may help temporarily or for a short time, but they're not going to fix the problem. Excuse me. Again, if you've got questions on that upper body, go ahead and shoot me an email. So what's the next part of our body that touches the bike? Our feet. And I always say, if our feet hurt, it makes for a miserable ride. I know I get cranky if my feet are hurting. So what are the common issues with our feet? Sometimes I'll hear people complain of burning, which I'll call hot foot. If you ask me what is hot foot, I'm going to say if you have to ask, you're not experiencing it. If you have hot foot, you know it. Numbness, or your feet being sore, or cramping and swelling. So what are the solutions for the foot issues? We want proper cycling shoes. Now, that's not to say if you're riding around the neighborhood with your kids that you've got to go out and buy a cycling shoe. If you're on a flat pedal, if you're not clipped in on a flat pedal, you do want a stiffer soled shoe. The shoes that are designed for running and walking allow our foot to move and flex. When we're on a bicycle, our foot is acting as a lever, transferring power. And so anything that's going on with flex is wasting energy. So proper cycling shoes and proper cycling shoes that fit you. As women, I know sometimes, well, maybe it's not everybody, but I know personally when I was younger, I've always wanted to buy the smallest shoe I could because I have a large foot. I always wanted it to look smaller. But if your toes are hitting the end of that shoe, the shoe's too small. What you don't want to feel are your toes at the end of the shoe. The same thing with any of you that have a wide foot or may have a bunion. You don't want a lot of stress across the forefoot. If it's squeezing those toes together, it's going to end up irritating the nerves that run in between your toes. There's nerves in between all of our toes. Compress those bones, and you're going to irritate those nerves. They're going to get aggravated, inflamed, and start talking to you. And oftentimes, too, the right type of pedal. If you're doing longer rides, being clipped in not only helps me to put your foot in the proper place, but it helps with knee extension and those types of things. And being clipped in can help you with power transfer as well. But if it's not set up right, the shoe cleat pedal interface can cause a whole lot of issues. And having it set up properly so that you're getting that proper power transfer and comfort. So cleat position can affect the comfort. And with cleats, there's a lot of different positions, and be careful. They should be symmetrical. They should be what I put them in a neutral position, so neutral for you. But during a fit process, I'm looking at your foot structure, looking at leg, ankle, knee, hip alignment. So there's a lot of science that goes behind that cleat placement. If you're not going through a fit and somebody hasn't looked at your body or done a physical assessment, neutral position is going to be centered on the shoe. But if you're having some knee issues, that can be caused from the cleats being in an improper position. And then the other thing I was mentioning is our foot is designed to walk and run. Arches are designed to store and release energy. We wear a stiff-soled cycling shoe to transfer that power. So proper arch support in your cycling shoe. There's cycling-specific arches. It's a little different position than a over-the-counter type of insole that you would buy, like from the drugstore or from the running store. The arch is a little bit more forward, which is going to give you more support and support your foot in the cycling position because it's in a little bit different position. We sell those here, and they come in 3 different levels depending on how much of an arch you have. Now, I have people that sometimes think that they have a flat foot, but I always, through the fit, I'm looking at your foot unweighted. And then I also look at the arch and the ankle while you're standing and weighted, because that often changes. But we want to support the unweighted foot so that it helps to stabilize you, and it helps with foot comfort. I know I've gone through those touch points rather quickly, and there are lots of little things that I do to help ensure that you're comfortable on your bike. Going through a fit, I know a lot of people think that when they purchase their bike that they had a bike fit. Oftentimes it's a static sizing where somebody's just going to look at you and maybe set the seat heights, look at the fore and aft, but it's not what I would call a bike fit. So what I do in the studio is takes a couple of hours, and we start with an interview to let you tell me what discomfort you have on the bike, what kind of issues you're having, what kind of riding are you doing, and then going through the physical assessment, which I get to see what you look like off the bike so that I can make your bike fit you. But the next slide, we have a before and after picture, and sorry. On the left, you can see her, maybe you can see it, maybe a little bit dark, but her seat was way too low. She was experiencing knee pain in the front of the knees. She was, because the seat was so low, she couldn't get a nice fluid pedal stroke. So on the right, you can see that her seat has been raised, it's been moved forward, her shoulders are more relaxed, and the bike has been tailored to fit her. So proper seat height is not only going to be much more comfortable, it's going to be powerful. Again, what I do here at the studio is by appointment, and start with an interview, go through the physical assessment, and then we do a dynamic fit. We get you on the bike. We're watching you while you're pedaling under load. So I see how your body's reacting while you're pedaling, which is much truer picture of what you look like than a static fit where you pedal, stop, and they take out the goniometer and measure you. I'll always provide you a full report, and then I want to hear back. I want to see you back in about 3 weeks for a follow-up visit that's included, so we can see how you've adjusted and adapted and settled into the changes that we've made. But as women, I want you to be comfortable on your bike. I want you to enjoy riding and look forward to your next ride as opposed to dreading it. So you don't have to put up with all those aches and pains or being the slowest one. So sometimes when your bike isn't fit properly, it is going to affect your ability to pedal and your speed. So come see me, give me a call, email me if you've got any further questions. I'll be happy to answer them. Cynthia@bikebarn.com. And ladies, get out there and ride. Get a girlfriend, find a friend, find a ride, and enjoy your bike. We thank you so much for joining us tonight. And again, please feel free to contact me if you've got any further questions. Thanks so much.